last time we talked about matchers versus mismatchers. Matchers being people who focus on similarities and they oftentimes have this delusional optimism, and mismatchers being people who nitpick things, they focus on differences, and they have this realistic pessimism. And when you are able to switch modes and you can tap into either of them at the right time, that's when you become way more effective and also way happier, right? And so if you look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs or artists or scientists, creators, people who make stuff, you notice that they've often mastered the paradox of opposites. And that's something that makes them a 1 in a million type person, where they don't just beat the competition, but they're in a whole different league. And they just become unstoppable because they're highly adaptive and can switch modes depending on what the moment requires, right? So the example I gave before is Steve Jobs, right? The number one most valuable company was built by him. And on the one hand, I think that's his default. He's this intense, cutthroat, steamrolling, controlling douchebag CEO. We've all heard a ton of stories about that, right?
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, he also counterbalanced that, at least to some degree, with this Zen fruitarian calligraphy hippie that he embodied as well and that he dove into, right? Elon Musk, same thing. You see polar opposites there. He's a hardcore engineer, a nerd from the basement who's socially awkward, but then on the other hand, he also loves taking the stage and being a viral meme lord, troll attention seeker, right? Like usually that's not something you see in engineering nerds. Think about the number one podcast in the world. Polar opposites. On the one hand, Joe Rogan is super disciplined. He's a fighter. He's intense. He's inspiring, work hard. And on the other hand, he's a comedian. He's funny. He's kind of a degenerate, and he has like a relaxed vibe as well. Just like, hey, don't worry about it, So if he was just one of these, if he was just a disciplined fighter who was intense and inspiring, he'd be Jocko Willink, the Navy SEAL commander who, talks about discipline equals freedom. And if he was just funny, he would just be another comedian. And I'm willing to bet that if he was just one of them, he wouldn't be the number one. But I think that polar opposite makes him so adaptable to different situations and scenarios in life, where he becomes this fascinating person that Jocko Willink can't compete with Joe Rogan in the podcasting realm. And other comedians also can't, because he's got that disciplined, like striving for more piece of him to himself as well. And there's tons of examples like that, right? Like Oprah Winfrey is this caring listener, at least from what I see. I don't know. I'm not too into her stuff. I don't think I'm the target demographic. But she has this caring, listening side to her, right? But then she's also probably an absolute savage in business. Do you see that pattern too? Like, who have you seen as prime examples of that?
Yeah, I have noticed that. I think my favorite example is Leonardo da Vinci, actually, which is a very pretentious thing to say.
I was going to say, of course, you have to like one-up me and just be like, oh, well, the classics.
Yeah, I know. Take Leonardo's name out your mouth. But like, there's this book, How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci, where it's like the 7, instead of the 7 habits of highly effective people, it's like the 7 habits that Leonardo had to be like the biggest genius of all time. And they're all completely different things. But 2 of them that stood out, one of them is called Arte e Scienza, which is some Italian bullshit
for being able to John, look at, what is going on here?
I'm hijacking this podcast and making it 10 times. I'm telling people how to live their life, Leon. That's what we do here.
I love how you just like, you pull out the most artistic answer of all of them. This is great. No. Okay, he had the Italian thing, the spaghetti thing, and then what else?
Yeah, he had spaghetti and meatball, it was called. And one of them is it's arte, is like being able to look at things as creatively as possible with no limitations. And Scienza, which is then like full logical, analytical, like what actually is it. So that was one of them, is he was able to bounce between those two things, which makes sense because like when he drew like human anatomy, like it was like beautiful drawings, but at the same time, while he was making these beautiful drawings, he was only able to make them so beautiful because he was actually observing anatomy better than anyone else ever did, like the exact details of how all those body parts looked and worked.
Yeah, it's the mirroring of the two opposites, right? Matcher, mismatcher. And I think it was him who one made these beautiful artistic creations, and then he also made violent, destructive war machines.
Oh yeah.
Is that right? What was that
Yeah,
him or
dude.
was that somebody else?
No, dude designed weapons. He wrote like the best like cold Twitter DM outreach of all time to like some king, where he was like, "Hey man, I'm going to do all this cool shit for you. You got to hire me, all right? Like I'm going to make some paintings and some statues and a giant moat so your enemies will drown." And then like he had like 50 different bullet points for different ways he could like defend the city or kill the enemies. And one of them was just like, I will make paintings that will entertain you. And it was like what he wanted to do was make paintings. And he realized like, bro, I got $100 million money model this shit with some guns.
That's interesting because nowadays that doesn't work anymore. And that goes to all the people who are in my Twitter DMs who tell me, hey, I'm going to make all these shorts and clips. And I ignore all of them. So that doesn't work anymore. Nowadays, you have to make the machine, you have to make the thing, and then say, hey, by the way, I've already done this. Here's a link. Check it out. If you do
And
that,
if
you
you
already.
don't buy it, I'm going to use it on you.
What's that?
And if you don't buy the gun, I'm going to use it on you.
Yeah, perfect. I think that is a what we call an irresistible offer.
An offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, going full mafia.
That's
So
right.
I think in general, people who master paradoxes, they're not just more effective, they also make better friends, better partners, better parents, and they're just happier people. Because I think oftentimes the counterintuitive approach for me has led to the biggest growth, right? Where I would go, okay, I'm known as the disciplined guy in my friend group just because I don't know, like when I stopped drinking, people was like, oh my God, he's so disciplined. I'm like, not really. I'm also a degenerate, but in other ways. Um, but long story short, oftentimes leaning into the opposite and trying the counterintuitive approach actually led to way more growth for me, right? So, for example, instead of saying in order to really lock in and get a lot done, I need to become more disciplined, right? Like I've already had the discipline part down to a degree, and it actually becomes a lot more about the opposite. Like how can I let go? How can I make this process more fun? How can I enjoy it more so then discipline becomes easy, right? Meanwhile, somebody else who only looks for the fun thing, it's like, yeah, you need to lock down a bit, you know? You need to be disciplined. And I think it's a pretty limited perspective that we've gotten where it's a lot about, hey, focus on your strengths and just master one thing. But oftentimes the biggest strength comes with a massive weakness, right? Like our form of kryptonite that oftentimes becomes the bottleneck or the thing that actually stops us, right? So, for example, again, matchers and mismatchers, the matchers, they see possibilities, but they make mistakes, right? They're too delusionally positive. And then mismatchers, they spot problems, which is good, but they also discount opportunities, right? And so I think you've probably also heard this study or research that was done on high performers, and they looked for what they all had in common. And there was three things. One of them was focus, but for the point of the exercise here or the idea, there was a paradox. So one of them was crippling insecurity, this feeling of I'm not good enough, and then also superiority, right? Like I'm better than, like secretly I'm better than everyone else, right? And then you have this explosive combination of these two that then create drive, right? However, if you only had one of these two, if you're only like, hey, I'm not good enough, I have crippling insecurity, then you're just insecure and you're not really going to go anywhere. If you just have the superiority, you don't have a drive either as well, right? And you're just arrogant. And so, yeah, I think you also see examples of people who have maxed out one stat, and if they just did the other one, they went the other way, they would become a lot more effective. For example, if you're a genius engineer and you only look at ones and zeros on the screen, usually you tend to suck with people, right? And you don't really have charisma. And then you have somebody like Zuckerberg, who he's been lizard mode for decades now, right? And he just sucks at being relatable and funny and winning over people, right? And so he's working hard on that with his rebrand, right? Like starting to look like Gen Z with broccoli hair and doing jujitsu. And it's kind of working a little bit, but his biggest limiter as an individual, I mean, he's still crushing it, financially at least. But his biggest limiter is people don't trust him, Yeah, I don't know. Should he focus on getting better at that? Depends on his goals, right? But yeah, long story short, I just think the most effective thing for me to look at is what are the paradoxes and polarities that I can compare right now, that I can go through. Like I can go through a list of things, and where am I the weakest, where it actually becomes the weakest link in the chain that makes it break, right?
Well, it's kind of like what you were saying there about, like, you can have a trait that you might think is a negative, but it just depends on what context you're applying it in. So like the most classic like business advice is like, if you're doing your service or whatever it is for one group of people and you're not making enough money, it's like, well, what if you just tried to sell it to rich people instead? Like same amount of work, same everything, different customer, more money, right? And it's like same with everything else, where like,
did you already read $100 million money models? Is that where that comes from? What's going on here?
Never heard of it. I haven't gotten the book yet. Actually, because I live in Canada, it was going to cost $200 to ship the book up here. So I just sent it to a friend and watched a 19-hour live stream. No big deal. I'm very productive. But like, if you're like, say you're an angry person or whatever, right? Like, you can try to sell you're being an angry person at like an office job, and you're going to get a very low ROI on that. People are going to think you're a dick. But if you like become an MMA fighter, that's a really bad example because you can't just become an MMA fighter. You have to be like really good at fighting. But that's a better use of that weakness and that personality trait. Same thing with being funny. Like if you just try being funny in random places, that's probably not going to go super well for you. But if you can find a way to finagle that into being an actor or a comedian or a content creator, then you win.
Yeah. I think it just allows you to dominate a niche sometimes, right? But I think even in general, it can oftentimes become a key bottleneck, is that you're so heavy on one thing that you have this underdeveloped right arm, left arm super strong, right arm super weak. You're just the crooked man basically at that point, right?
Right.
For example, hard work versus smart work. Where do you fall on that scale, you, John?
Oh God. I think most people start off with hard work because that's the easiest place to start, I'm assuming. And that's where I started off, where I just like, I'm going to work till I'm dead. And then I was like, I was like burning out, and I'm like, I can't. So I learned to work smart. And now I try to do both, where I'm like, I'm not going to work till my eyes bleed. I'm going to like set this 8-hour chunk. And what I'm going to do is done in that time, because I learned a way to do it efficiently so that I can do it in that chunk. I don't know if that's the answer.
I think the key difference here is hard work is the ability to just, okay, massive action is going to solve this problem. We're just going to break through this wall with just sheer volume, and we're going to make it happen.
Right.
And smart work is about, okay, what is actually the highest leverage thing that we can do? And, anyone who argues for either or is just way less effective. And I've fallen more in the smart work camp, where I'm like, okay, no, what? I mean, I've also worked hard. Like some people would look at me and be like, Leon, are you serious? You're really going to say that you're not working hard as well? Like so specifically friends who know me. But what I'm noticing is that oftentimes I look for shortcuts and better ways to do things. And I strategize and I think a lot about it, and I switch strategies to, okay, let me try this, let me try that. Instead of just being like, okay, let me pick one and just go with this and just mow down this wall. Because in the end, yes, you can find a better strategy. Yes, you can find a high leverage thing. And oftentimes that is very important. But man, if you just keep flicking through different ones, if you just keep looking for a different movie on Netflix, you're not going to watch any movie, right? Like, to make it relatable to everyone out there, right? Like, we've all scrolled through Netflix before looking for the perfect movie, and then we just didn't end up watching anything because we had 2 hours to go to bed, and then now we've looked for 30 minutes, and now we can't finish the movie, and so we're like, oh, whatever.
Yo, life hack for that real quick. I just schedule at the beginning of each year where like the first date of the year, January 3rd, it's too cold to go do anything else. We just have like the Netflix scroll date. We're just like, we're gonna scroll Netflix for 3 hours and fill out our like to watch list for the rest of the year.
That's damn. We got a life hack here. I like that.
That's smart work.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think I gotta hop more into the hard work. Not in the sense that I'm gonna work more, but I'm gonna just be stubborn about picking a strategy and just going with it, and just like, okay, let's just mow it down. Um, yeah. And I think to unlock the next level, you gotta just try sometimes the opposite, right? So for me, again, becoming more disciplined is oftentimes not the solution. That's my go-to. It's just like, I just need to lock in. I just need to, well, this time I'm gonna, it's gonna be different. And just trying harder. It's not the limiting factor, right? And yeah, I think you become a category of your own when you compete with that, right? When you've mastered both. Michael Jordan is actually a really good example. I don't watch baseball at all. I'm not interested in any of those sports, but most basketball players, baseball players, same thing, same sport. In the 80s and 90s, they would actually master either offense or defense. And he was one of the few, or one of the first, who did both. He was a 10-time NBA scoring champion and also a 9-time NBA all-defensive first team. And just think about that. Like, if you would just focus on offense, then the moment the enemy is in possession of the ball, you're gonna lose. You're gonna be way less effective, right? But if you can do both, damn, you're unstoppable. And just imagine, like, looking at certain characters out there, what would it look like if they did the opposite? What if Gary Vee started meditating? What do you think becomes available for him? What if David Goggins started being hilarious and enjoying life and just tapping into that side, right? Or what if like a Navy SEAL Commander Jocko Willing type guy started stand-up comedy, right? I just think, you become more well-rounded, effective. And it's, again, the whole debate of just like, no, like, balance is not the answer. You gotta, but I don't see that play out. I don't see that play out at all. And oftentimes the weakest link is your downfall.
I think it's like, I think it's arrogant in a way, and just like a bad I mean, if you're the absolute best in the world at something and you know it from when you're like 7, and like it's all you can do, like all you can do is shoot baskets, and you're fucking playing basketball 12 hours a day, and it's all you ever do, then yeah, I'm going to be the best basketball player in the world. Then go do that. But most people were too busy picking their nose and watching cartoons when they were kids, which is correct. Like, you were a kid, not your fault. It was a good thing to do. But most of the people who become like, I'm going to be the best in the world, they know that by the time they're adults already. And for everyone else, it's like, well, the smarter thing to do is get like the unique combination of skills that no one else has that complement each other. So it's like, maybe like trying to be good at every single thing, like being a C- in every single thing. That's probably not going to happen. But there's like a Goldilocks zone where it's like, you're not going to be the absolute number one at this one thing, and being C- at 1,000 things is just, there's not enough time in the day and it doesn't matter. But if you can pick like, I don't know, 4 to 8 things that you're decently good at that no one else has that combination of, you're like the one of one for that.
Yeah, and I think, who knows, maybe then you become the best overall at something, because I'm sure Michael Jordan wasn't the best shooter, right? He wasn't the best at like throwing the ball from a distance into the round net thing. But that's like, is that Steph Curry, Stephen Curry, something Curry, some Curry guy. He's the best at that, right? But I think the overall best player then is Michael Jordan. Joe Rogan might not be the funniest comedian. He's also not the best UFC fighter, but that combination makes him the number one podcaster, right? And then there's also other traits that he has that make him incredible at what he does. But I think it's super valuable to go through a list of polar opposites and seeing where you land on it. So let's say, for example, confident and paranoid. Both very good traits to have when you're going after a goal. For myself, I think I get to be a little bit more paranoid about, am I confident that this is actually going to work, or how might this fail? I am a mismatcher in many ways where I see, okay, this is what's missing here and here and here and here. But oftentimes I pick something that I'm working on, a strategy, a focus, and I try it out, and then only later I realize, okay, that's why it doesn't work. And I probably could have figured that out beforehand had I been a little bit more paranoid. Polite and disruptive. I think I get to be more disruptive. A doer and a talker. That's like the difference between product and marketing, right? You can build the best product or do the best marketing. Like, again, if you're a marketer, the next level is not that, okay, just make bigger promises. Just talk more about how great the thing is. No, actually, one of the best things you can do for your marketing is just deliver results, move in silence, and then come back again when you have something great to show. Open-minded and stubborn. Passionate and rational. Energetic and calm. Work versus play. Specialist versus generalist. Lone wolf versus team player. Big picture thinker and detail oriented. Work smarter and harder. Casual, playful, and serious. Which ones stand out to you? I'm curious. Where you're like, I think I'm very heavy on one side. I'm very good at that. And the opposite is oftentimes getting in the way.
I'm like, I tend to be really like perfectionistic on the paradox of being like a perfectionist is that because nothing's ever perfect, you never ship it, and so then it's 0% good, right? So like the opposites of like being a perfectionist and just what would that be like? Just doing it. I don't know what the word for that is. I guess experimenter, someone who experiments, like they try to get better each time. If you're not an experimenter, you're not going to get perfect because if you don't put anything out, then it doesn't matter how good it is because if a tree falls in the forest, no one can hear it. It didn't fall. But then B, by putting it out, you get the data that you never could have gotten just sitting there trying to work on it alone. So that's kind of, I'd say that's my big thing is I'm like, I'm going to make it perfect all by myself. I'm a lone wolf. And it's like, no, dude, you got to put shit out. You got to just do it.
Yeah. And I see the opposite too. I feel like more people fall on that side, but I also know people who have made literally hundreds of episodes in a podcast, or they've made, we're about to be that as well. Hundreds of episodes on a podcast or hundreds of videos. And when you look at their current ones and the ones that they started out with, it's basically the same. Like they're not perfectionistic enough. They're just like, right. Yeah, if I just put in the reps, it'll get better. It's like, no, you gotta look at the tape again and see, where did I mess up? How can I improve next time? So there are people like that out there as well. And they're just like, no, it's all just about consistency. It's all just about that. It's like, man, if you and I sat down, I can show you 5 things that if you change them, the next episode you'll put out is going to be twice as good. The next YouTube video is going to get 10 times the views. The next product iteration you create is going to be twice as good. And yeah, I think it's an interesting way to look at yourself and almost look at yourself as like a video game character where you're like, okay, what stat am I missing here to wield the dragon sword +5? So
I think we call people paradoxes sometimes from the outside so that it's easier to understand them. Like with the Steve Jobs example, where like he's a hippie, but he's also an asshole. My personal experience with hippies is that all of them are assholes, so that doesn't seem like opposites to me. But
it's just hypocrites.
yeah,
There's a difference between an opposite and a hypocrite.
But like at the same time, I think you have to be a really boring person for like a single word to fully and accurately describe you. Not to say like a single word can't describe you, but if it describes all of you all the time, like what's going on there?
I don't know.
So
I feel like a lot of people are very one-sided, don't you think? Not just in the way that we put labels on them, but of course you can put like 20 labels into your LinkedIn bio. I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm a philanthropist. I gave $20 to charity yesterday. But it's more ways of being, where somebody is like, dude, this guy is a total degenerate. When you party with him, you're gonna have the wildest night. And dude, he's wicked smart. When you like, he's one of the deepest thinkers I know. You know, I think that's very rare. And when you develop these absolute like polar opposites, and you lean into both, and you can switch modes, man, I think you become so unstoppable when you know what's required in the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, definitely being able to switch it on and off. I do agree with that, and switch between the different things. Like, I just think of so many artists, like when Kanye did the 3 albums that were all. I mean, they were like a little different. That he evolved between the first and the third one, but like basically they were like early Kanye had a sound, and then he did 808s and Heartbreaks, and it was like this more auto-tuned R&B kind of a thing, like totally different vibe. And everyone was like, "You can't do that. What are you doing?" Like, wow, or anytime, like I guess, like Machine Gun Kelly was a rapper, and then he started playing pop punk music or whatever, right? Like these different artists who change genres, and they seem antithetical. Where it's like, oh, how can you possibly do like bravado, hip hop, confident battle rapping, and then go like sing about your feelings? Like how like people don't understand that. I don't know, I feel like that's a really good part of life, is to really try to develop those opposites. And sometimes I feel like maybe that's even in there already for a lot of people, and they feel like they're nervous that they're going to be judged, or they're going to be put in a box, or because they have this one thing and maybe that's 51% of who they are, that's the slightly stronger one, they're 51% a matcher, that because they're 49% a mismatcher, if they ever act like a mismatcher, people are going to be like, why are you doing that? You're crazy. I think that's a silly fear. I think you should try to do all the things you can do. I mean, within reason, but I think you should try to do all the things.
Yeah. I think even to make it relatable to the everyday person who is not looking to be in the spotlight and position themselves as a personal brand, I think it just also makes you a better partner. When you are not just someone who can be serious and achieve things and provide, but also you can relax and be funny. And just like I see a lot of people who are very good looking, and oftentimes they just have cardboard personalities because they never had to develop it, right? And when you see someone good looking who is also funny, they probably didn't start out being good looking.
No.
Right? Like, no. Why is that, right? So that's why I think some of the best partners you'll ever have, that best partner options, if you look at different stereotypes, is the attractive person that used to be ugly and used to get bullied, because they have empathy, they have a personality, they got humbled, and then they're also good looking and pretty and cute, whatever, right?
That's like that dichotomy. I mean, I'm not into that whole world, but I guess there's like dudes are talking about like alphas and betas or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but like if you took it to the total extreme, where like the alpha of all alphas is like, for some reason, Andrew Tate. I don't know why he would be that. And then the beta of all betas is like the dude who cried when the Star Wars trailer came out or something. Like, I don't know. But like I like, I don't want to be either of them. I don't want to be either of those opposites. I want to be neither. But like, if you're more realistic, and it's like, you know, Jocko Willink is a much more respectable like alpha figure, where it's like he's confident, he's strong, he's a protector, he's capable of violence, but he's more of a leader, he's not a criminal. Like, okay, that's a positive like alpha. And then like a positive beta would be someone like Pete Davidson, where it's like, he's has had like drug problems and all that, and that's not great, but like he's creative, he's funny, like he's like, homie was not in the military, he's not fit, he's not doing any of the alpha things or whatever, and dude was with Kim Kardashian and Ariana Grande. Like, he figured it out, he's chilling. And it's like, I feel like getting a little bit of both of that's great. Like, that's the best partner. Like, who, like, actually think for a second, like, who would want their life partner to literally only be like, that's the dude who gives me money and beats people up? I'm like, okay, like, I don't know.
People
I
out
don't
there
see that lasting.
there's some women out there, I'm sure.
They got, well, yeah, I mean, but then they're only one thing to that guy. They don't get to be all of themselves either to that guy. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. I think people should totally try to be the opposites all the time.
Yeah, I think another polarity that I get to step into is what further develop. I've gotten so much better at it over the years when I look back what it was like when I was 20. But the dichotomy of being controlling and just like, okay, I'm going to take life by the horns and will this into existence. I'm going to just create this reality versus just letting go and just being like, hey, take it as it is. Things are great. I'm just going to trust that things are going to happen. Don't worry about it. And so, dude, when you have both of these, oh man, you're just unstoppable. Just knowing when to step into both, right? But yeah, I think it's a cool way to think about life strategy and yourself as you're playing the game of life. So yeah, that's basically what the podcast is about, right? It's about achieving your goals and also having fun in the process. And how do I transition to the next topic? I don't know.
What's the next topic?
Well, next topic is a monumental day in Guru history happened. A day we will all remember for decades to come. We're going to tell our children about it. Some guy launched a book. His third business book. Alex Hormozi sold 3.6 million books in, 72 hours?
Yeah.
And now the top 5 best-selling day one launches in history is number 1, Harry Potter 7, number 2, Harry Potter 6, number 3, Harry Potter 5, number 4, $100 million money models, number 5, Harry Potter 4. This is the weirdest list I've ever seen. This is sorry.
Dude ran it up, dude. He did numbers. It was crazy to watch.
If you look at School, his community platform that he partnered up with or he invested in, that Sam Ovens started, he was on the podcast before as well. Check out the episode. They had about 50,000 people in the community that is for people who start communities.
Right.
They were at 50,000 roughly last time I checked, and it shot up to 100,000 now. So they also massively grew the School platform, which is already $1 billion company. Now, I don't know what the worth is going to be. But man, this guy proved he can work. Like,
I mean, just off the top of my head, like the math on that, each book sold for 30. He was selling bundles of 200 books as well. I don't know if it was like you got a discount and it ended up being like $25 a book in the bundle, but let's just say it was $30 a book times 3.6 million. That's like what's that, $110 million or something? Like he got the 100 million there. Now he has costs, he has taxes, he has the technology for the event. So let's say that was only 50,000 or whatever. On top of that, all the attention for his other stuff, his investments, his workshops, all that stuff, that he's going to make 100 million off that. Then you got the school, right? And he sold school at a 90% discount. It's usually 100 a month. Now you could get it for 10 a month for life. So, but you doubled your audience, and all of those people are going to go sell school for you now and build their own communities and transaction fees. So that's a bunch. And then just for fun, he was like, I'm also going to upsell a one-time like $10,000 consulting package or whatever. And I think he sold like 1,000 of those or something. Bro printed money in real time. He printed money. Dude's the Fed.
Yes. Insane.
And I think he wore the same flannel all 3 times. Fucking disgusting. But he did
it. No, he has a closet full of them. But man, I mean, the first live stream was 7 hours. Second one was also around 7 hours. The third one was about 8 hours. Crazy. I mean, he proved he can work, not just doing the live streams, but writing the book, creating all these offers, just everything, like making this whole piece come together. And one of the things you said to me or sent in was the ultimate life tactic seems to be calling the shot while taking the shot, while teaching the shot, while everybody's watching. So he's teaching $100 million money models, and he's done that before with $100 million offers and $100 million leads. He's teaching it, talking about it, using the methods, and then proving that it's happening as he's doing it, right? And man, there's something very scary about building in public, but also I think it brings the best out of you, right? Like you mentioned Brian Johnson as another example of someone who says, yeah, I'm not going to die. That's my mission. And I guess his is easier in the sense that if he loses with that mission, at least he won't know because he's going to be dead. For as long as he lives, he's like, yeah, I'm achieving my mission, right? So I'm as long as he's alive, he has credibility and authority. But man, there's something about that, man, that's very scary. Who's actually watching the live stream? There was a ton of people watching it live, but what I was working, I was doing some stuff, I was scripting a video, and I clicked in for a bit, and I'm like, why are people? The only reason to watch is because it's a spectacle, right? You're not actually like a Harry Potter book is launching. You're not actually like, oh, I gotta know what this is about, right?
I need to see what charts are in this one.
Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of cognitive dissonance watching that because I'm like, man, why am I watching someone launch a book and talk about it? I'm just gonna get the book when it comes out, when it's relevant for me. I don't know. I don't know. I just looked around. I was like, what are we doing here? Feels like we're gooning.
Yeah, there is an element of that where it's like, imagine the book's like $100 million productivity, and it's just like a nonstop 1 week live stream, and everyone's like, wow. Feel so productive. But like I feel like with me, because when he did the last launch, it was like a 1 hour webinar, and I was like, I like Hormozy, I'm gonna get the book, maybe there's like a bonus. And that's really what it is people are sticking around because it's like, if you show up, you get this bonus and this bonus and this bonus. So I was like, I want to know what my bonuses are. So that's cool. But like last time it was an hour-long live stream. So I was like, I got an hour. I'll like put it on while I'm like making food or something. And then this one, I'm like, okay, this one's running a little long. It's like 2 hours. And then it just kept going. And I was like, oh, he's going to just do the, and I realized, I'm like, okay, I'm backing out now. Like it's been 3 hours. I'm going to stop. And then I would just check back in, and it became this spectacle of like, how the fuck is he still launching this book 3 days later? Like, what, doesn't he have a firm to run? What's he doing? What's happening? And
it's funny when you look at his channel, the streams he's done, the $100 million leads launch was an hour and a half. The $100 million offers you said was an hour. Now the $100 million models was 7 hours. I think he's going to move to a 100 million hour live stream launch for his 12th book. He's just going to stream endlessly. Like the rest of my life is now a book launch. It's just steadily increasing the amount of time.
I think this does tie to the last topic, though, so I'm going to retroactively
He's gonna sell 100 million books.
$100 million book selling book.
It's not even $100 million. $100 million.
$100 million books. $100 million books.
100 million books.
$100 million book dollars. A 100 million page book. I do think this connects to the last topic, so retroactive segue. When he did, the first book was Offers, which is just about like, how can a product or service or whatever be so appealing and so valuable that you'd feel stupid not just buying it on the spot, even if no one marketed it to you, no one sold it to you. It's just that good. And he put out that book with the associated course, and it was just that good, and people got it. Then the second book, well, he's not trying to write a book that sucks. The second book is still $100 million offer, but now it's leads. So he has to do this whole marketing campaign to show he can do that, the concepts in the book work and it's good marketing. So he layered two things, opposites, product, marketing. And when you put them both together, the second book did much better. Now the third one, Money Models, I'm going to be honest, it kind of just seems like how to price your, I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. I don't know how it's different, but it's some third thing. I don't know. It's about creative financing or something. It's about lying to the IRS. I don't really fucking know. But he did this.
It's about structuring offers, I guess, right?
I guess so.
Structuring them in different ways to
when you have multiple offers, how they connect or something. It's probably more like customer journey or so, whatever. And so you put the three things together, and now it's even better. And so he's an example of like, he probably himself would say he's not the world's best any of those things. He's probably not the world's best offers person. That was probably Steve Jobs, right? He's not the world's best marketer. That's, I don't know, some other person, right? But by being really good at all of these things, by the time he puts out his 10th book or whatever, he'll be putting all of these tactics together. He might make $1 billion off a book launch in a week or something like that.
Oh God, can you imagine?
Bro, that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah. I know that I'm going to have 5 of my friends give me one of their copies for my birthday. It's just like, hey, I thought about you. Here's this book. I'm like, oh, great. I have a whole stack because they all probably got a bunch of them to give away. But we'll see. So, yeah, super inspiring to see him just execute that so well. It's just like, very inspiring.
I watched a documentary yesterday that was really disturbing. I think it's on topic. Do you know the show The Biggest Loser?
Of course not. Why would I watch such a thing?
Yeah, well, for those who don't know, somehow it was an incredibly popular reality show in the early and mid 2000s about basically they found a bunch of people who were like 300, 400 pounds, and then they do a contest to see who can lose the most weight. And if you don't lose enough weight, then you're eliminated from the show, I guess. And it's, it's a contest. And then the winner is called The Biggest Loser. And some of these people went from like 500 pounds to like 180, like insane transformations. And then the show had a bunch of controversy, which is what the documentary is about. And I was just so like, it made me mad watching the documentary because...
Is it called The Reality of the Biggest Loser?
Oh, what is it called? No, it's the Netflix one. It's, let me look it up.
Former contestants and producers reveal intense, damaging reality behind the success of The Biggest Loser in this provocative documentary series.
Yeah, this one's called Fit for TV, The Reality of the Biggest Loser.
All right, give me the 80-20. What is the reality of The Biggest Loser?
One, not a single person in this country wants to take accountability for anything they ever did. That's what I learned. No one. Because everyone did something wrong, but because everyone did something wrong, everyone can point at someone else who did something wrong. So like, and then the larger issue is completely ignored. So what I mean by that is, if you find a way to be 500 pounds, it's a little bit you, right? Like it's a little bit on you. Now, that said, what they did to these people on the show, I think is disgusting and horrible. Like, they were doing challenges where they would put donuts in obese people's mouth and be like, you have to pass the donut to someone else with just your mouth. And if you take a bite of it, you lose and we make fun of you. And it's like, that's fucking awful.
Eat
Like,
the donut or double it and give it to the next person.
they would legit do stuff. They would do temptations, right? So they would be like, you're on this show for 12 weeks, whatever. You can't see your family because you're filming. We'll give you a temptation where if you eat a whole pizza, you can see your family. I'm like, what the fuck is this Abu Ghraib torture bullshit you're doing to these people? That is disgusting. And then they didn't have any therapists. They had one doctor for all these people. They didn't have like, it was just insane. And like the workouts they would do, they would take people who've never like walked a day in their life, and then they just put them on a treadmill and have them do like zone 5 Nordic sprints for 7 hours until they're vomiting. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? This is insane. Like, this is irresponsible training. So the contestants can point at the show and be like, what you did was damaging and humiliating and not scientifically effective and not the best way to lose weight. And that's true. And then the trainers can look at the producers and be like, well, the producers wanted good TV and they were incentivized differently. And that's true. And then the producers are like, well, America watched it, so we were just doing what our job was. And it's ultimately not our fault that all these people are so obese. We're just trying to start a conversation about it. And it's like, no one's pointing at like the food companies, the education system. It's like, I don't know. It just blew my mind that
Everybody is a loser, is what the point is, right? Everybody is an evil loser who's exploiting each other.
yes, but it also blew my mind that that show could have been so popular in like 2004, where there's enough people who are 500 pounds that were like, oh, this is a relatable show that we're going to watch, that it took until 2024 for like, I don't want to like, not to like be political, but like RFK or whatever. Like no one noticed like, oh, we should probably do something about this in general. Like we should figure this out. I don't know. It just blew my mind that you can let a problem fester for so long and everyone can sit around blaming each other and doing shit that doesn't work before anyone takes it serious.
The same thing happens with finances nowadays too, right? Like I thought of Caleb Hammer, who's in a similar realm where he does financial education, but he mainly just does roasts, right? He does roasts on these people who are they're in debt because of their own doing. It's like the weight debt in Biggest Losers is like the financial debt they have here, and then he just roasts them. And so you can watch it telling yourself, oh, I'm watching it to learn about health. Oh, I'm watching it to learn about finances. But it's really just about, hey, stop eating food. Hey, stop spending your money in dumb ways. And then you're really just watching for the drama of it. So it's an interesting, it's like, I think it's like gives people this easy excuse to be like, no, I'm learning something. It's like people that watch our show because they want to see the guru of the week and just have fun, right? And they're like, no, this is a productive podcast that I'm listening to. I'm learning stuff. So,
and if that's what you think you're getting out of us, you're wrong. You're wasting your time.
We're really just wasting your time here.
I watched my first Caleb Hammer episode, and he seems like a nice guy. So I'm not trying to talk any kind of shit on him, but maybe I just watched a particularly sensational episode.
No, they're all like that. I haven't seen many of them. I've watched the intros and just looked into him, but like they're all pretty sensational.
First off, in all the thumbnails, his face is dirty. Like they made it look like he crawled through Normandy to do this financial audit. I don't fucking understand. Like why is your face dirty in the thumbnail?
He did go through that dirty finances. He did crawl through that.
But then like, okay, so I guess the premise is like there are people who are like in debt, right? They're fucked. They're really in debt. They can't make their payments for stuff. And they go to him for advice. And then I watch this thing for an hour, and the whole hour is him going like, wow, you're in a lot of debt. And I'm like, what does that fucking do? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious why you're in debt. You spent money you didn't have, and then you borrowed some. So I get it.
Yeah. I think it does have some positive effect. It does make some people more aware of their expenses, but oftentimes these are probably the people who are already very careful with their expenses. But it's mostly just drama and for entertainment. Make no mistake. So you also sent me this here. The average person can do most jobs without the BS of gatekeeping degrees. This is the ultimate example. Fake nurse arrested after treating 4,486 patients was even promoted for doing a great job. This is like the most extreme example of, hey, you should probably get an education for this, the medical system, right? To be a doctor, to be any of those things. This woman, she just, what if we just do a job without a degree? Like you can just skip 4 years or 6 years or however long it takes.
I probably should have read the article to see if, like, on patient 4,487, she, like, accidentally killed him because of some super obvious shit she would have read about on day one of nursing school. But I don't see that in the headline. So it looks like she did a really good job the whole time.
Yeah. And here's the thing, I do agree with it. Like, I think not, hold up, wait, pause. Not with medical stuff. Probably also not with law or stuff like that. It's probably good to study that stuff. However, if you look at someone like Derek from More Plates, More Dates, if he's on, so he's this, he talks about performance enhancement. He talks about health. He talks about, he's a what does he call himself?
Basically a steroid expert, like a chemist.
Yeah, he's like the meathead chemist, right? He's like the type of guy who he just learned everything by himself. I don't think he has a single degree. I could be wrong, but otherwise he would have said it. But when he's on Andrew Huberman's podcast, or Huberman is on his podcast, Huberman is literally asking him questions, be like, hey, have you looked into that? And then he tells him about it. And he's like very knowledgeable. And myself, when Derek says something, I'm like, I trust it. Yeah. And it's pretty wild. I think in a lot of professions, or just very detailed industries, you can get ahead within a year of deep studying and become someone who knows more than someone who studied it for 4 years and got a degree.
Totally. Like, and I think particularly in Derek's case, because he's like, I mean, a lot of steroids are illegal, but even if he's using legal substances on himself, like, it's probably there's an ethical standard if you were like a university lab to be like, I'm going to find 1,000 people to do trend for 9 years and see what happens. Like, you're not going to find that. No one's going to sign up. So he's just like, I'll just do it on myself. I'm N of 1, you know, your results may vary, but like you can see what happened to me on video and I'll tell you why it happened. So like there's a big opportunity there. Other people's ethical and safety standards are your profit margin. But no, like especially in the arts, like I went to like God, this is humiliating. I went to a theater school, for 2 semesters, so for 1 year, and all I left with was $15,000 of debt. I didn't learn to sing. I remember the teacher came into acting class one day. She was a nice lady. Like, bless her, she's great. But she came in.
She was just acting. She wasn't actually nice.
Well, yeah, She came in one day and she's like, guys, I just secured my first commercial for local radio. I'm going to be doing a tissue ad. And I'm like, I'm spending $300 an hour to be in this room. I'm going to light myself on fire. Like, what's happening? Like what are we doing? And then we do like yoga for an hour. We do mask making. It made no fucking sense. I left immediately. It was so terrible. And like, you can definitely just like, I don't know, maybe take a community class for 3 months for $200 and just get all of that.
Yeah. Get a one-on-one teacher.
Yeah.
Learn yourself, because when you're learning in an environment where you have to be with other people, it's averaged out to be, or not even averaged out. It's for the dumbest person in the room. Right?
Yeah.
Like, man, if you want to know more about a certain topic, you can just pursue it if you're going at it yourself, if you're lone wolfing it versus group learning. Like, I saw this TED Talk from this one guy. He made a really good point. It was this, Gavin McInnes. He's like nowadays super controversial figure because he was super conservative. He was part of the Proud Boys. Like, but
back in the day, he started Vice.
And it was, let me see, it was a TED Talk that is still live. And it was, I think the whole theme of the TED Talk was, the purpose of it was the importance of teamwork. And he starts out the whole speech by saying, you know what? Teamwork really sucks. And then he just, his entire point. Yeah, when I first was asked to do this, I thought I haven't seen TED. I'm going to talk about it, but let's see. What does he say?
Gay, homosexual.
Okay, let's just actually watch it. I don't know if we can use it. YouTube is giving us some issues usually, but let me see if I can we can watch the beginning of it.
Apparently this is a thing about teamwork. I don't have a lot. I had a lot on TED. Teddy bear. There's a whole teddy bear fight scene. Teamwork, huh? I fucking hate teamwork. What is worse than teamwork? This whole seminar is about teamwork? Everyone here is talking about fucking teamwork? Teamwork is the bane of my existence. It's the bane of America's existence. Does anyone actually really believe that teams are more effective at a task than an individual? Jesus Christ, teamwork. Lord. Everything good in this country, everything American. The whole reason I emigrated here from Canada was to get away from collectivism and the team. Fuck the team.
So the whole point is basically look at the people who made the biggest change in history and technology and inventions. These are all individuals who, yes, they had a team as well to get stuff done, but man, if you put them into a teamwork group, they wouldn't have achieved it. And the people who love teamwork are the ones in high school who are like, yeah, I want to do teamwork, so they can sit back and they let somebody else do the work and then they can take credit for it, right? And it's like,
Bro,
it is a good point.
that's always how it was with me in high school. Like, I would just do all the work for the group and then we'd get a good grade.
Ooh.
And then one time, I was like, well, I did all the work, so I'm going to indulge myself a bit. And I threw in like a minute of stand-up into the presentation. And I made fun of child labor in Africa, you know, whatever.
It was like a completely different topic.
And then, yeah, it was like
about bees. Also, children in Africa. Have you ever thought about it?
Well, the assignment was on economics, and it was, why would a company offshore from the United States to China? And I was like, because children don't charge minimum wage. And then, like, it was, that's the answer. I got the answer right. But so they, the teacher then went, Mr. Jouffre, you have done not only yourself, but your whole team a disservice, and everyone will be receiving a 0. And I'm like, well, I did the whole shit anyway, so they should get a 0 anyway. But I felt bad because I'm like, these 3 girls actually like want to go to college and be lawyers. You can't do that to them. Like,
yeah. Oh, that's such a dumb move for a teacher. What? Anyways,
like,
I was the guy who I let other people do it, and then I said, okay, I'm going to present it though, because nobody wanted to present, and I'm like, I'm going to present. So you do the work, I'll do the presenting. I get a good grade, and let me just chill while you guys are doing it.
But that is good teamwork. That's if there's 5 things that need to be done and there's 5 people, each person can do the thing that they're best at out of those 5.
I wouldn't get in their way, right?
Right.
And also, this is again where I'm more smart work rather than hard work, and I need some of that hard work more. But I knew that if the teacher sees me speaking in front of the class, I get a better grade in general. Because I don't know if you had this in where you went to school. You went to school in the US, right?
Yeah.
We had a written mark that we would get, right? A what do you call it? Not mark.
A grade?
Grade. A written grade, and then also a vocal grade. So how much you participated in class. Did you have that too?
Oh, no. I guess, yeah, they would like break it down like 50% of your grade is the tests, 25% is participation or whatever.
Yes. We had 50-50. And so I knew how to hack it. I always look at it from a strategy standpoint, and I always find ways to exploit the system. So
right. So you're like, if I just do all this speaking, I'm guaranteed a 50 in this class, and then I just have to be barely above like brain dead and I will pass.
Yeah. And so I knew that being vocal and presenting in front of the class feels like, okay, his participation is really good. I didn't do any of the work. The other thing I would do, and this is really messed up, is when the teacher would ask a question, the smartest kids that were most active would raise their hand. And right when the teacher would pick someone to, okay, Anna, what's your answer? I would go, I would raise my hand, be like, I just got it. And then
Manipulative little shit.
the teacher would see that I was participating, but I knew that they already picked someone.
Bro's using the 48 laws of power at the spelling bee. What are you doing?
And it would work. It would work because the teacher was like, yeah, always the usual ones. Anna, Melissa, Jared, and Leon. And
That's hilarious.
But I would never really speak, right? Or present. And specifically the challenging ones, that's where you could really stand out. And I knew that. And there were a few times where then Anna got it wrong. And then it's like, okay, you, Leon. And then I would go, no, it actually doesn't make sense. Never mind. Then I would just like, it's fine. And you would literally, you would come across as very participative. And I never did homework. I always copied it from my friends in the morning on the bus on the way to school. And I graduated with one of the top, one of the top grades. I think I was in the top. I think it was in the top 10 people out of my whole year of 100 people, and I only studied at the very end, right before the tests. I studied hard for a few hours and just okay, let me just get the 80-20. What is the most important thing I need to learn? And I would talk to the kids who already studied for hours, and I was like, okay, what's the most important thing to learn? What are the exercises? Tell me. And then I would stress about it for a couple of hours, and then I would literally get most of it right. And so I had also good grades for that. But yeah, following any system and any curriculum that's made for a lot of people, it's just a bad move.
You can apply that principle of yours, your little manipulative bullshit. You can apply that in relationships. Because say your partner's like, yo, can you do the dishes, please? And then you just don't do it. And then right when they get fed up and they start doing it, you go, I was just about to do that. I'm sorry. And
dude, there's little strategies like that genuinely where you, for example, what if you had a dishwasher, but your partner doesn't know? It's just in a secret.
You're hiding a dishwasher in your closet?
Yes. Just I did the dishes. I did them. Or this is actually genuinely a thing that I do. I started replying to my girlfriend when she has a question. I would be like, why don't you just ask ChatGPT? Why don't you just Google it? I stopped saying that. I actually would just then go to ChatGPT and give her the answer. And she'd be like, oh my God, you know so much. That's amazing. I'm like, yeah.
I just make shit up. Whenever anyone asks me a question ever, I'm just like, I'm good enough at bullshit that I can make something sound good.
Yeah, sound confident and get a good participation. Great. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do like that they don't take a lot of work, but they make you look better than you are, and you actually care more. And so, yeah, manipulation 101. Glad we touched on that in this episode.
What's the takeaway for someone who here's just another practical example. I was doing a job interview at time. I was working at a children's summer camp, right? And so part of the interview process, you interview solo to see if you're a good fit, and then you have to do a group dynamics thing to see if you work well with the other counselors or whatever, which obviously I get why that's important and that makes sense. But the way that they tested that was they gave us all puzzles, and I'm good at puzzles. So I saw the puzzle, and I had 3 teammates and none of them understood the puzzle. So I was like, oh, that's easy. I got it. And then I just started doing it. And then the dude doing the job interview was like, well, you're supposed to do it as a team. And I'm like, well, I'm part of the team. I'm getting it done. They're not doing shit. I'm sure, I'm not super athletic. So if there's something athletic to do, Bob can do all the work. I don't know. But they were like, no, you should try to explain it to them. And I'm like, I can't think of anything that would be more unpleasant than explaining this fucking tic-tac-toe puzzle to people who are too stupid to understand it. I can't do that. I'm sorry. They're like, how are you going to explain things to 5-year-olds? Be like, are you going to make 5-year-olds do this? Or like, no. I'm like, well, nah.
Also, who
It's
wouldn't
got-
rather have just one person that does it than like one person who can explain it to 3 other employees that all need to get paid to get the same thing done?
It's crazy. I'm like, our job isn't doing puzzles, right? Our job is just making sure kids don't like die. So I don't know.
Teamwork sucks.
So what's the practical takeaway for that? Like if you're someone who, and not saying everyone's great at everything, right? Unless you listen to the first segment of the podcast in which you learn to be good at absolutely everything and unite all opposites. But let's say you're really good at something and you're not so good at a bunch of other things. And you're in a group dynamic where, you know, you're expected to be like a team player, even though this is your strength or something like that. Like, do you have a takeaway for someone like that?
Quit your job.
Quit.
Seriously, I would not be able to do that. Like, because that's at that point, it's just politics, right?
Right.
It's like, do you want the result or not? Period.
Right.
Man, that's what sometimes I wonder what it would be like to have a job, because I never really had a job. I had like jobs when I was traveling in Australia. I was washing dishes, I was working in construction, and what else? I did like sales, door-to-door sales. And man,
Like actual jobs where you had to do actual things, not like bullshit office politics jobs.
exactly. And man, I would not, dude. I would hate that. I even dislike working with most clients when I have a client for consulting, because sometimes people hit me up and they want support with YouTube. And man, I'm just like, can I just do it? Because I can tell you how to do it, but you're not going to do it right, or you're not going to do it at all. And sometimes then I have to work with a team, and then I have to take into consideration their communication style, the communication style of the client. And so I then have to work. I can't do that. I personally, no, but man, I don't know. If you're rewarded for playing politics, just honestly, I would just quit. I think most people would that are listening to this podcast anyways, they would be like, okay, I'm out. But yeah, I guess sometimes you got to play the game. You got to play the politics. You got to know, okay, these are the leverage points. This is what is expected. This is what is rewarded. And so how can I get the result and just do it myself while also looking like I empowered everybody else? I don't know.
My advice would be to try to let the team do it and then let them fail and falter, and then just do it secretly and make it look like you taught them, and then just give them the credit. Like, you do all of it, take none of the credit, and then those 3 people owe you their lives.
Yeah. They come to you next time. And then you can ask them to give you a portion of their salary. Do you want to keep this job? I want 20%.
I'll tell them you couldn't do the tic-tac-toe puzzle if you don't pay me what you pay the IRS.
There's probably someone out there who does that, actually.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Yeah. If you haven't listened to the episode yet where we talk about matchers and mismatchers, there's a simple way to find out which one you might be, and then also how to balance both of these so you can become absolutely unstoppable. Check out the episode right here. See you over there.
Bye-bye.